to our practice today. So for today's practice, what you might like to have is a block, maybe even two if you have that many. If not, a block cushion will be sufficient. And you do know that any cushions, you can always replace them with blankets and find other household items if a block isn't within your household. So as quite often, we will begin lying down on the backs. So when you are ready, please find your way there. It is still not possible for me to lie down this instantly while lying down is very comfortable. I might have to elevate my head. Please ignore that for your own practice. So when lying down on the backs, you might step your feet down onto the mat. Let the legs extend out if that feels good. And you might just let the arms come to rest. If it's available, you can even close your eyes. And just figuring out what your shoulders are doing. So maybe lift one shoulder at a time and try and place that more deliberately onto the floor. The palms of the hands could be turned up today. And if the legs aren't quite out long because that's uncomfortable, you can always change that to a constructive rest and step feet wide and let knees fall in together. If closing the eyes is causing you trouble, you can always keep them open, staring at a solid point that doesn't move. Getting towards a sense of support of the floor underneath you. Maybe also a sense of supporting yourself. And that could be as simple as supporting yourself in the choices that you're making on this mat right now. This week's practice is more or less about cherishing the moment. Not that we never do that in our yoga practice. It's quite essential to stay present in the practice. But maybe you can make it more than that. A presence that is sort of detached from what the experience is. So looking at yourself as if you weren't within the body, but the observer of your body. Also watching your thoughts as if you weren't in your mind. And looking at the thoughts from a detached perspective. Each time something gets close to you, triggers you in any shape or form, be that by wandering off into a dream world, be that by getting stuck in a sensation in your body, whatever it might be. The moment you notice you are creating an attachment, detach yourself deliberately, knowing that the space that you are creating here for yourself is safe to do so. And maybe looking at it as if it wasn't yours. Gaining an insight of what the experience could look like outside of yourself. And whatever arises will change anyway. Taking yourself now into a deeper breath. Observe the breath as a neutral observer. If a judgment hit you right then, my nostril is blocked. I can't breathe right now. The air's too cold, the air's too warm, whatever might have come up there. Just explore the breath and its possibilities for you in this moment. As you might feel yourself directly from the belly rising, expansion of the rib cage and right up to the collarbones. When breathing out, you might gently engage your lower abdomen, squeeze the air out of the body, then to the ribs and up to the collarbones. Let each breath now flow like this. As you breathe in slowly, just feeling the different parts of the body from belly upwards, expanding. And in that same order, deflating the body as the belly starts to lower and the rest slowly follows. Stay with that simple breath, filling belly, ribs, and the full lung capacity. And releasing from the belly to the ribs until the air is gone. Without any stress or strain, continue that, let it flow. Belly, ribs to collarbones, immersing yourself in that flow of a deep breath. Sometimes when there's nothing else, we actually feel as if the breath is working us rather than we are working the breath. So we'll leave you with that in quiet for a few more. After your next slow exhalation, you may continue the breath, maybe not to that intensity, but leaving it flowing fully and deeply. And if your legs are extended out long, you might step the feet loosely down onto the floor, leaving the arms relaxed, drifted away from the body. And as you're breathing in, rolling the head to one side. And breathing out, rolling it into the center. Breathing in, rolling the head to the other side. Breathing out, bringing it back into center. Repeat that a few times, just rolling the head, move it in the pace of your slow breath. Nothing else to do. And really present with the movement here. How is the neck feeling? Does that impact the body in any other shape or form? Does it trigger any thoughts or feelings? After you completed this round you're in right now of rolling head from side to side, pause it, allowing the head to become centered. Lifting the knees up loosely over the chest. Have a little rock just over the pelvis. Then give the knees a good squeeze in towards the chest. And you can choose to hold here still or rock the body from side to side. Now over the whole back. As you come back into center and pause the rocking, take a deep breath and let your arms open out to either side. You might enjoy turning the palms of the hands down and leaving the arms a little bit below shoulder height. You might even enjoy bringing the knees together as you move them gently to the right. Inhaling, rocking to center. exhaling to the left. So leave that movement quite small to begin with. It feels a little bit as if you're just rocking across your pelvis. And as you're going here from side to side, you might increase the range of your movement, using hands and shoulders to ground you as the movement goes side to side. Next time you come to the right, pausing the knees there, you can adjust the body. You could even turn the hands up to soften the shoulders, and you might like to turn the head too. As you take a deep breath, noticing sensations here, what are you aware of? Then lifting knees as well as head to center. You might center yourself, lift the feet, and then take your knees to the left. And do the same here. Soften down into arms and shoulders. Option to turn the head to a side. And a couple of deep breaths while you're holding here. Afterwards, rolling over onto that left side and slowly rising to a seated position. Now, while I have a blanket here to sit on, I will put that to the side for now and instead take a block to sit on. And that's simply because it's a little bit higher and might help my hips to be open. However, the hips don't need to be open to sit. If that is not your position, the legs in front of you, please change that position. As long as your spine is upright and tall, you're in a perfect pose. Let the hands come to easily rest against your thighs and actively slide the elbows in so they're resting a little bit more by the sides. As you take a breath in, starting to turn the head to the right. On the breath out, tuck the chin down towards the shoulder. Let both shoulders be quite heavy here and explore the stretch, maybe on the other side of the neck, one you're leaning away from. From this out of center stretch, slowly start to turn the head so that the right ear faces the right shoulder. You might even let your left hand fall towards the ground. Placing the right hand back up, lifting your head. As you breathe in, turning your head to the left. And with the out breath, tucking the chin in towards the shoulder to hold here. Shoulders quite heavy. Exploration of potential for a stretch in the opposite side of the neck. Ever so slowly changing the position as you turn the head to let your left ear face the left shoulder. You might even drop your right hand to the floor. Maybe increasing the length on the sides. As your hand might come back up, so could the head, bringing it back into center, leaning just a little bit into the back and releasing if you're in a cross-legged position to change the other foot to be in front. On a breath in now, open your arms and stretch into the fingertips on either side. And as you breathe out, tilting that into a side bend to the right. Turning the upper hand to face towards the floor as you bend into the side body. Make sure that your head is never heavy, that you're always lightly engaging the neck to deliberately hold the head in place. Breathe in, stretch further across. Breathe out and bring the back of the hand against the outside of the leg. Then lift yourself back to your sitting bones and slide your right and fingertips behind your back. On the exhale now, creating a twist. If you want to bind, bring the arm behind your back, maybe even reaching to the top of the thigh. Inhaling, turning the head forwards. Exhaling, releasing to center. With the next in-breath, reaching the arms out and stretching over to the fingertips. On the out-breath, begin to tilt. Upper arm extending over the head. Palm of the hand might be facing down towards the ground. Sitting bones grounded as you bend to the sides. Next, out breath, roll arm and shoulder in. Place the back of the hand against the outside of the leg. Roll up through the spine and slide your left hand fingertips behind. On the out breath, entering your twist. Option to wrap the arm behind the back. Maybe reach for the top of the thigh into bind. With the next inhale, bringing your head back to center. And with the out breath, releasing completely. Let's come into a mudra for a little while. So the resting that you're doing here with the legs still needs to be comfortable. Please change your seat if you're no longer comfortable. I will come up to the screen and demonstrate Gupta Mudra, which is basically an interlace of the fingers. So when you bring the backs of the hands together here and then interlace your fingers, folding everything into the palms of the hands and then even crossing the thumbs over the top. So instead of the usual interlace like this, go from behind, interlace within the palm of the hand, and I can show you what that looks like from the front, and then folding that in and the thumbs are crossing. And then take that down comfortably in front of you. Nothing else there to do. And once you've got the mudra called Gupta Mudra, eyes could be closing again, shoulders become easy, and you're deeply sitting over the sitting bones. We'll tap into this mudra right now, back to full deep breathing. So let your breath come back into belly, ribs and collarbones. You can add Ujjayi technique if that is within your practice, but not essential. As usual, please connect to the mudra as much as to the experience itself. The mudra here has potential for protection from limiting thoughts, and it might provide us with a way of exploring and releasing these negative beliefs that keep us from experiencing the safety of our true inner being. Gupta Mudra can also assist in stress reduction and thereby supporting our immune system, might give us a sense of centering and safety when practiced. There's also potential here for relaxation around areas we've moved already: shoulders, neck, face, and head. One last full deep breath, holding the mudra. Knowing that you can use mudras at any time where they might serve you well. As you release the mudra, let the backs of your hands rest down upon your thighs or in your lap. And as you begin to blink your eyes open, I will encourage you, as often, to stand up without using your hands. If that's not yours, please do use your hands. Sometimes support is really useful. You might choose to place a block to one side of the mat. And if you have a second block, placing that to the other side of the mat. Coming then into your standing position with or without the usage of your hands. And we step to the short front edge of the mat, placing our feet quite comfortably. I would like to practice 2 rounds of sun salutations to prepare the body for standing postures. For the inhalation, lifting the arms up, maybe lifting your gaze. Touch the palms, draw them down the midline with your knees, soft folding forward, Uttanasana. On the inhale, come to half lift, extending the spine forward. On the out breath now, stepping your right foot down the mat. You might lower the knee down, even untuck the toes, horse rider position as you lean deep into the lunge. You might plant your hands down and step the second knee back, leaning forward into a kneeling plank. Tailbone is drawing in direction of the heels. With the out breath, keep your elbows close and come to land down on the front of your body. With the inhale, bring the tops of the feet into the ground, lifting head and chest. Maybe the hands are lifting too. Maybe the hands are extending your back more. Breathing in again. With the exhale, release back to the mat. With the inhale, come up onto hands and knees. Round your spine while you tuck the toes under and then stretch your hips up and back, finding a puppy pose. If you enjoy puppy, please stay or lift the knees, extend the legs, downward facing dog. So finding your position, and as the position is rarely perfect as we come into it, please move the down dog or your four stance. That can include swings of the hip, movement of the legs, maybe arms too. And then continuing to walk the feet all the way to the front side of the mat. When you arrive, breathe in, straighten your spine forward, Ardha Uttanasana. On the out breath, bowing back down. Now bend your knees and then reach the arms up to the ceiling, inhaling. Exhaling, let the arms release by your sides, mountain pose. Next breath in, lifting the arms again. Draw the hands down the midline, knees soft, exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling to half lift. Exhaling, the left foot steps down the mat. You can lower the knee back down to the floor, even lean your hips forward, Ashvasanchalanasana. And there's the same option here as you could step your knee back for a kneeling plank. If you want to lift the knee off the floor, tuck the toes under now. And in that case, stepping the foot back, plank position. You now notice you would like to support, knees down is never too late. Keep the elbows in as we breathe out, lower down on or towards the mat. Breathing in for cobras or upward facing dog. And a breath out as you find your way back, and you could roll directly over the toes into your down dog, or go over the knees, maybe stay on the knees even. As you find back into your middle shape or forwards a downward dog, take a couple of deeper breaths. Keep moving the body if the body is asking for it, but always staying in a close conversation with you as the observer of your practice and of your being as a total. Walking the feet then slowly back forward, front side of the mat. As you arrive there, take a half lift, breathing in and folding back down, breathing out. I would ask you this time to use a long out breath and to uncurl the spine into a standing position at the front side of the mat. Give the shoulders a shrug as you come there and turn the palms of the hands to face forward. Maybe you can turn yourself to face the long side of the mat now and potentially center yourself there. Your feet will be parallel with each other, outer edges of the mat, or you could touch the feet completely and the legs closely together for the chair poses. So your choice, either apart and parallel or touching completely. With the next inhalation, then lifting your arms up. On the out breath, bring the palms to touch at heart center, bending knees and bending hips into the first chair posture. Now push down into the feet, extending the pose again, breath in, Urdhva Hastasana. Out breath, hands to heart, chair pose, Utkarasana. Let's push back into the feet to extend the body, inhaling. Out breath back into chair pose. Let's step the feet out wide, release the hands, turning the toes towards the corners of the mat now. With the inhalation, stretching the arms up overhead. With the out breath, come into goddess pose, stop signs, with the elbows bent, sinking into the knees and spreading out the fingers. Push back down into the feet, extend the arms up, inhale. Exhale can come from the mouth as you sink into the goddess pose. Inhaling, straighten and lengthen. Big breath out. Holding here. Let's extend the right toes towards the short side of the mat, the left heel to the back side of the mat, and extend the arms out to about shoulder height, turning the palms in the direction you are looking. As you breathe in, reach up your right arm. On the breath out, land the back of the right hand to the inside of your leg. Other arm may lift. Too strong for the shoulder, or else the hand can also go into the side of the waist here. So your choice to extend or rest in the side. Keep your shoulders stacked, Trikonasana. Soften a little into both knees really, and actively ground through the ball of the right foot, your front foot. You might choose to look directly into the camera using engagement of the neck. You might release the neck entirely and turn your gaze downwards. Or you might carefully turn the gaze up, but then tuck the chin lightly in to protect the neck. As you breathe in, expand your chest more. And then roll your fingers in as you breathe out, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder. As you release your arm down, bend into your front knee, push yourself back up, turn the toes towards the corner of the mat, and a big breath in to reach the arms back up overhead. Out breath, Goddess pose, Utthata Konasana. With the inhale, extending the legs, the arms reach back up. Out breath. One more big breath in. As you now turn your left toes towards the short side of the mat, the right heel to the other side. Legs might come out long, arms extending out long. As you stretch to the fingers, palms facing the way you're looking, and then inhale to reach the left arm up, giving that sense of length in the side body as you rest a hand to the inside of your leg. Upper arm might be extended or hand in the side of the waist. Making sure the shoulders are open as we come to the other side. Unlocking the knees, the legs appearing to be straight but aren't, and maybe pressing down into the ball of the left foot. The choices of your gaze are pretty much the same. The moment you notice your head is hanging somewhere, you've lost the neck. So re-engage through the neck by activating, maybe tucking the chin in, or relaxing completely by looking down. As you next inhale, feel the openness coming through the chest. And then rolling your top hand fingers in as you breathe out, the wrists, the elbow, the shoulder, bringing your bend into your knee, lifting back up to the center, turning the toes back into the corners of the mat, and another big breath in to reach the arms up. We will hold the goddess pose now as we breathe out, bending the knees, the elbows, shoulders are easy, arms can be lower if they need to be. Standing tall and upright, using your inner strength, maybe your heels lifting off the floor. Let's land the heels back down. Take a breath to extend to the sides and releasing the arms. Asking you to step to the short front edge of the mat, whichever one you can see me from. Please do have a block now, and one is sufficient. On the highest setting there in front of you. If you don't have a block, you might want to step towards a piece of furniture to use that. So as we stand facing the block, you can choose again to have your feet parallel or touch them together completely. We're stretching the arms up on the in-breath. On the out-breath, come into chair pose, but also twist it to the right. Then push down into the feet, extending the body again. Inhale. Come back to chair and twist it to the left. Let's lift back up on the inhale. On the exhale again, twisting your chair to the right. Now this time, hold here. Make sure that your knees are at the same height. It would be the left knee that wants to come forward. Bring that back in so the hips are in balance. Push the palms of the hands together, or open your arms out wide. Swinging the upper arm down if you placed it there. Straightening your legs out. The hands might come onto the block as you lengthen your spine. Forward, knees can be bent. I will ask you now to slide your left foot a little bit back. Then land on the left foot. Slide the block back in front of your toes. You might now place your right hand into the side of the waist. Are we on the right side? Did I say left leg back? Good. Then the right hand in the side of the waist. And you might start to roll your right shoulder back and turn to the same side that we twisted our chair towards. Option for the revolved triangle is to extend the right arm up. Deep breath into the revolved version, maybe even releasing from the block, back of the hand, outside of the leg if you wish. As you bend your knees, let the posture dissolve. Step the foot back together with the other. Soften your knees and bowing down. On the out breath, uncurling the spine into a standing posture. On the in breath, extending the arms up. On the out breath, come towards chair, and now twisting your chair towards the left. If elbow reaches outside of the knee, wonderful. If not, keep that floating, pressing palms together, keeping your right knee here at bay within your twisted chair. Option to open the arms out wide. You might swing the arm back to release the shape. The block might come out in front as you lengthen the spine with your hands resting on the block. This time, you might slide the right leg just a little bit back, landing the whole foot. You might bring the block in front of the front toes. Please make sure that both knees are out of the lock. And you could start with your left hand in the side of the waist, using the feet into the ground, start to roll the left shoulder back. Your option then is to open the left arm towards the ceiling, if that's right for you. Not essential, more important to get into the twist. And if you can hold yourself there with ease, you might remove the weight from the block and rest the back of the right hand against the outside of your leg. Parifrita Trikonasana, reverse triangle pose. Let's release the arms down, bring the hands down, step the feet back parallel, and let your body soften forward into the forward fold. Take a half lift to straighten your spine out, inhaling. Melt forward again, breathing out. And then very slowly uncurling the spine on the following out breath. Lifting the shoulders again and shrugging them back and down. Turning back towards the long side of the mat. As we come back to the long side of the mat, we're opening the legs back out, toes pointing to the corners of the mat. On a breath in, lifting the arms again. On the out breath, come back into the goddess posture. We'll repeat for 2, inhaling, straighten and extend. Exhale, pull in. One more round, breathing in. And exhaling, hold. You might now turn your right toes towards the short side of the mat, the left hand into the side of the waist. You could reach with your right hand towards a block on that side, leaning lightly towards it as you drag the left foot in. Stack your shoulders. An option to raise the left leg off the floor, flexing the foot. As you might keep your hips stacked, your shoulders stacked. The gaze could remain to the ground, and you might choose to extend your arm for Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. An option here, if balance might come up, to bring the gaze upwards. Please remember the chin tuck. Then point your toes, land the foot again. Reach both arms up as you extend both legs out. Inhale. Exhale, come back into the goddess posture. We'll turn the left toes towards the short side of the mat. Right hand into the side of the waist. Reaching with the left hand towards the block on the other side of the mat, or bringing in one there. And starting to shift the weight in, sliding the foot in an option, or lifting the foot off the floor. If you do flex the foot, start to open through the hips, through the shoulders. Gaze might still be down towards the ground. Option to extend the arm up. No reason to expect finding balance, but if you do, you might even experiment with turning your gaze up, applying the chin tuck to engage the neck. As you point your toes, landing that back down onto the mat, take a deep breath in, reaching both arms up. Have a breath out and just swing the arms through, let them release. They'll bounce into the legs. And then heel and toe your feet a little bit closer. Let the shoulders be turned open. Eyes might momentarily be closed, or the gaze is steady. Deliberately unlocking your knees and finding some freedom in how the pelvis is resting there. For the next inhalation, raise your arms up. Draw the hands down the midline as you breathe out. And step your feet back or your knees down, facing your mat. Leaning a little bit forward into a plank position. Knees can be on or off the mat. A breath out to lower down onto the front of the body. Resting the forehead down. Grounding through the tops of the feet, the knees are lifting. And a breath in to lift the upper body for a cobra. Please find out if shoulders are moving freely. And then you might place some weight into the hands and lift your heart a bit further. Only if that suits. Hands could also be floating. You might also choose to lift your right leg. Bring that back down. You might try and lift the left leg. Bring that back down. You might try and lift both legs. Keeping your shoulders down, your elbows in. One more breath. And on the next out breath, we'll ease that back down to the floor. Take a breath in and find up onto hands and knees. And you might then choose to open the knees out wide for a downward facing hero. Touch your big toes together and let your buttocks come to the heels. You can simply rest here, forehead to the floor. You could rest your forehead onto stacked hands or even stacked fists. Or you might bring in one of your blocks and rest the forehead on there. Let yourself come into a pause as you're curling into child's pose. You might be curious how the breath is working here. So your breath could deepen and you could notice where the breath is moving your torso into other parts of the body. Maybe noticing if that you are experiencing is pleasant, unpleasant, Maybe you have trouble finding your way to stay in the present. And that's something to observe as well, to acknowledge. Very slowly now uncurling your spine into a seated position. Swing your feet over to one side and extending the legs out in front. Now, you might like to have the 2 blocks nearby your mat. You might also choose to use a blanket to sit upon, as you could fold up the blanket or roll up the end of the mat, extending your legs out wide. You can extend your legs out as wide as you like. As you come to a seated position, it's oftentimes when we feel like we really have to hold on, that this seated support makes a huge difference. But even as a gentle, thin support could be very beneficial. Place your fingertips down in front of you, flex your feet actively, sit up tall and take a deep breath in as your belly relaxes and opens, then the ribs, and then we're filling our lungs completely. And as you lightly engage the lower abdomen and you're breathing out, start to lean forward, whether that is straight forward or you're walking forward. Keep the feet in an active flexion as you come towards Upavista Konasana, the right-legged forward bend. You can always keep your eyes closed in these poses, releasing you from any visual images, releasing you from your own image, and just allowing to work with the thoughts, the feelings that arise. Engaging in a longer out breath. Slowly walking the hands back in towards the body as you come into a seated pose, sliding the legs onto the mat. Maybe using the blanket now instead of underneath to cushion the head. Please keep it flat unless you're me or dizzy like me. And you might choose to walk yourself forward so the feet are aligning with the front side of the mat, and then slowly rolling the spine down as you're breathing out. You can use your hands or not to, that's up to you. As you find your way down onto the mat, you can choose to step your feet down onto the ground. Lifting your hips up as you squeeze your bottom up. Take one of the blocks and slide it potentially even flat underneath the sacrum. Let the sacrum come to rest upon the block. And if you want to be sure that the block is in the right position, when you're feeling underneath your lower back, there's no block there. You can feel the whole curve. It's really more the buttocks and the sacrum resting on the block. You might release your arms here, find a neutral positioning even for your neck. You could then draw the right knee in towards the chest and give that a good squeeze. You might enjoy extending the left leg out and getting an extra stretch through the hip flexors. You might also choose to extend your right leg, maybe flexing the foot and drawing the straight leg in towards the body while keeping your left heel on the ground if you choose to extend that leg. As you might slide your left foot up, releasing the right leg. As you bend it, step the foot to the ground, and you might hug your left knee straight into the chest. Option to extend the right leg out long. Resting the heel to the floor. Maybe finding a deeper extension through the front, the hip. Option to extend the left leg. If you do, you might choose to flex the foot and draw the straight leg in towards you for a hold. Doesn't matter where you're holding on, keeping your upper body reasonably relaxed. You might like to slide your right foot down and then lift the right leg up, releasing both arms and resting them down, finding a gentle inversion for yourself. Knees soft, feet might be soft. And you could try and squeeze one foot, relax it. Then squeeze the other foot and relax it. Maybe squeezing both feet. And you could then choose to press out from the balls of the feet, extending the legs and spreading the toes. Then relax the feet and the legs again. Maybe let your eyes close and return to a deep abdominal breath. As you might like to bend both knees into the chest and landing one foot down after the other, placing the feet about hip distance apart, lifting the hips back up into the air. Please remove the block, roll down onto your back, let the arms open and your knees sway from side to side. If your neck is happy and agreeing with it, you can roll the head from side to side too. Bringing yourself, when ready, into a relaxation pose. If you've got a bolster at home, feel free to place that underneath the knees. It's okay if you don't, you can still keep your knees bent, step the feet wide, let the knees fall in for constructive rest. Or you could extend the legs out and let everything just fall away from the body. You might like to close the eyes here as you come into Shavasana or resting posture. As you come here and you're trying to settle the body, you might wiggle the hips again. You might gently wiggle through your shoulders. And then finding stillness with a full deep breath in. So no further air can come into the body. And then have a long, relaxing sigh out as you let your body surrender to the ground. Intention here is relaxation. As you acknowledge again all the support that you have. Maybe focusing back on the support that you provided for yourself. By taking time to notice, by practicing present moment awareness, by taking in that that is pleasant and that that isn't, embracing yourself as a whole being with all that we have and that might arise for us personally in this practice. I will give you the option of using the mudra again, Gupta mudra from the beginning. You could potentially do that lying down, and I would understand if that is your choice. If meditation comes easier to you in a seated position, please join me in a seated position without much fuzz, keeping the energies soft and gentle. If you do come up to sit, upright spine is essential. No matter your choice, if you like to join me back in the mudra, it is the interlace that comes from the backs of the hands touching. Fingers then interlace, and we're bringing the hands together, crossing the thumbs, letting that either rest over your tummy if you're lying down, or comfortably towards your belly if you're in a seated position. Gupta mudra, feeling back into the energies that this mudra might have to offer. You might notice that your breath is ever so gently directed downwards to the abdominal area. Maybe a sense of warmth and ease develops. Maybe a feeling of entering your own place or sanctuary of safety. Deepen that connection within. Connecting to you whole and complete. And quite naturally enhancing your sense of protection and safety. To rest even more deeply into your inner sanctuary, it's important to release any limiting beliefs that cause disharmony in the world around you and within your own being. You might explore in your mind your beliefs related to success and achievement. Striving for fulfillment is normal and healthy. But when it comes to an end in itself rather than a means, you sacrifice your own inner peace. That might make it difficult to rest in your inner sanctuary. Take a few breaths and sense the wholeness of your authentic being. Recognizing that nothing in the world outside can add or subtract from that which is inherently complete. Now explore your limiting beliefs about how the world or other people should be. Having expectations is normal and healthy, but when they become rigid and demanding, you create conflict and disharmony that keeps you from experiencing the peace of your inner sanctuary. You might recognize quite clearly that change always begins within your own being. As you focus on your own awakening, you naturally allow others to find their own time and space for transformation. You might gradually release some of your limiting beliefs. You might choose a few breaths to sense yourself fully aligned with your authentic being. completely secure within your sanctuary of inner safety, abiding in complete inner peace. You might silently or even out aloud repeat, resting within my inner sanctuary, I experience absolute protection and safety. Resting within my inner sanctuary, I experience absolute protection and safety. Resting within my inner sanctuary, I experience absolute protection and safety. Knowing your inner place of safety, your inner sanctuary. Let your hands relax back either by the sides of the body or into your lap. Maintain the quiet within. As I'll share the card that aligns with our practice today. It's from the Law of Attraction card deck. And it says, to attract the essence of my thoughts. It really well matches with Gupta Mudra and the work on our limiting beliefs and thoughts. It says here, the law of attraction and its magnetic power reaches out into the universe and attracts other thoughts that are vibrantly like it and brings that to you. So if you turn your awareness within and you focus on your true inner self, this is also what you're attracting. And so you're getting the essence of what you are thinking about, whether it is something you want or something you do not want. Believing in yourself in this place of your inner sanctuary. If you are lying in Shavasana, please start moving gently, deepening your breath. If you're already in a seated position, take a few deeper breaths as well. Bring some energy back into the body. Feel yourself sitting upright and tall after a few breaths, wherever you came from to join into the practice here. Then maybe joining the palms of the hands together in front of heart center. And we complete our practice today with just one sound of Om, tuning back into our true essence. Let's breathe in together for this Om. Gently extending with a light bow to each other. Namaste.